We are joined now by South Carolina head coach Shane Beamer. And Coach, we can't talk about any specifics involving recruiting, but I did text you the other day. You seem to really enjoy the DMV, Washington D.C. area, and I'm curious if this is a prelude to running for office. I don't know if you're just shuttling back and forth to get some experience in case there's a Senate running coming up.
Yeah, well, I'm up there a lot. I certainly making a lot of connections. I do love politics, but between coaching in the SEC and politics, I think when I'm done coaching, I think that'll be time for me to retire and run off into the sunset.
I think you could handle it though. Like you do have that state. Well, maybe we won't get too political on this show, but that statesman-esque quality where you could probably unite sides of the aisle if you needed to. I think you might be able to do that.
I would like to think so. There's a lot of correlation in between athletics and politics, I guess, and dealing with people and all that. And I've been up there in January recruiting Nyckoles Harbor, and then back in June we had an NIL summit day up on Capitol Hill. So that was really cool for me as a guy that loves history, but then also enjoys politics, to be in the U.S. Capitol and have a chance to meet with people and walk the halls. And you think about all the history in those in D.C. in those areas. It was really cool. So who knows?
We'll talk about it later when you need a comms director. It's no problem. But I will ask, you mentioned Nyckoles Harbor. I was going to wait till the end of the interview, but I know there's a bunch of recruitniks because I work for On3 now. So I know there's a bunch of recruitniks that are excited to hear about what does this gentleman actually look like in pads on a college practice field.
He's eye-opening without a doubt from just a physical stature standpoint. Take the speed out of it, just his height. I mean, the guy's 243 pounds at today as we record this, and has size, has athleticism. He's a great kid, great young man. I mean, he works really, really hard. Football is important to him. Sometimes when I was telling him, and I told the team this the other day, showed it in a team meeting. I mean, he's got toughness. And, sometimes when you bring a guy out that's also quote unquote a track guy, all they want to do is just run fast and not deal with the physicality that football is. And not him. He likes the physical part of it. He's got a competitive spirit to him, and awesome young man that works really, really hard. I'm excited he's with us.
As his recruitment went along, how did the evolution of his position change in your mind? Or was it him driving that, or was it you guys kind of saying, wait, you might fit better here?
Yeah, a little bit of both. When we first time I ever saw him, I was coaching at Oklahoma, and I was in Archbishop Carroll, his high school. And we were recruiting Anton Harrison, who ended up signing with Oklahoma and just got drafted into the NFL. And I remember Robert Harris, the coach there at the time, I was sitting in his office, and he's like, "Hey, I know you're here to see Anton, but I got to show you this video of this freshman I got." And it was a video of Nick running track. And I remember sitting in the office thinking, "Oh my God, this guy plays football." And then he pointed him out to me in the hall, and he looked basically like he does now. And that was the first time I ever saw Nyckoles Harbor, and just knew, you know what, he's whatever he wants to be. And then we get to Carolina and start recruiting him. June of 21, I guess, is when the COVID dead period ended, and recruits were able to get on campus. And he came down here with his high school coach. And early on, it was going to be, we were recruiting him as a defensive end. All with that size and strength and speed and athleticism, he could do that, and he could. I still believe that. But then as it went on, he decided he wanted to play offense. So at that point, we started talking to him about offense, and naturally you start thinking about tight end. And then as it goes, it's one of those, okay, this guy's 240 plus pounds and is a world-class sprinter. Do we really want him half the time blocking SEC defensive ends or cutting off the backside on an inside zone play? And he's got toughness. He would do that. And then it just kind of evolved to, we're better off. Let's just get him out in space, use his athleticism and his speed, And that's what's best for him, and then for us as a team as well. But then it was a group effort too, because Sterling Lucas, who coaches our defensive ends, Sterling was connected with him because he was initially going to be a defensive end. So Sterling continued to build that bond. And then Justin Stepp, our wide receivers coach, and Jody Wright, our tight ends coach, they got involved because Nyckoles was going to become an offensive player. So I feel like every coach on the staff, except maybe the O-line coach and the D-line coach, were involved in his recruitment.
Well, and it's just one of those coaching small world things too. I was listening to Trey Knox, your tight end transfer from Arkansas, and everyone's asking him questions about Dow Loggins, your new offensive coordinator who came from Arkansas and was his position coach there. And he's like, no, guys, I knew Coach Stepp first.
Yeah.
So it is amazing how much cross-pollination there is.
No, it really is. And it just goes to show in recruiting, you develop relationships. And nowadays, probably more than ever, it's prevalent, Andy, with just the transfer portal. Like, if you lose a guy initially in recruiting and he goes to another college, I mean, you don't want to end on bad terms. And we don't. A guy goes somewhere else, we wish him well, but it's more prevalent than ever because there's a chance that, down the road with the way coaches change, the transfer portal being prevalent, that it may all circle back and you may be reconnected with that guy. But yeah, when we first hired Dow and Justin was already on the staff, but I can remember we were down in Fort Lauderdale in December out recruiting. And that was when Trey Knox first went in the portal, and we were getting ready to do a home visit with a wide receiver defensive back down in Fort Lauderdale. And before we went in the house, I got on the phone with Trey, and it really resonated with me. Obviously, what a great young man he is, but he had the connection with Dow, but then Justin was with me. And then to hear those two guys talk like they had just seen each other the day before because of the bond they built in recruiting was pretty cool.
We'll be right back with more from South Carolina coach Shane Beamer. But first, I want to tell you about Bird Dogs. You've heard me talk about living your most efficient life in Bird Dog shorts. There's a picture of me in my tight wads that have the built-in liner. No need to buy or wash underwear ever again. They can take me from the bar to the golf course, to the pool, to wherever life might bring me. But what about the top? What about the tarp? What are we doing about that? Well, Bird Dogs also now makes polos. That's right. This beauty right here is the Fidel Bass Pro. They've also got the Galileo Ravioli, the hand polo. Oh yeah, they like their puns at Bird Dogs. But the point is, now you can go into places that say no shirt, no shoes, no service wearing Bird Dogs because you had your shorts on, but you were going tarp off. Now you can go tarp on with Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/Andy or use the promo code Andy. You get this amazing hat so you can go shorts, upper torso, and head, all covered by Bird Dogs. birddogs.com/Andy, promo code Andy. And it probably makes that recruitment much easier. It would seem to be that if you don't have some pre-established relationship, once some dude hits the portal, you may be out of luck.
No, there's no doubt, because every school in America is, if Andy Staples is a great player and he goes in the portal, within 2 hours, you got everybody in the country after you. You're naturally, I think, going to go maybe where you have some natural built-in relationships already. And the other thing too with that is because of those relationships, they can trust that coach. So for example, if Justin Stepp works here at South Carolina and wants what's best for our program, but he's also got a relationship with Trey where if he tells Trey Knox, look, this Shane Beamer guy that you don't know, here's what he's really like, and here's what this program is like, and it's not fake and things like that. Being able to, have those conversations with players, certainly it's an advantage when that happens. We've benefited from it, and then we've lost guys that were in the portal that maybe we wanted that we didn't get because of a relationship he had with another coach somewhere.
So switching gears to guys who never went in the portal, I want to ask about another one of your offensive weapons, DK Joyner, year 6 in the program, 3rd different position. He's at running back now. He started as a quarterback, then a receiver. Yeah. Brief cameo at quarterback again in a bowl game, and now he's playing running back. Yeah. How did that conversation go?
Yeah, it was one of those, in the last 2 seasons, we've lost multiple running backs out of our program, whether it be after my first year, Kevin Harris and Zaquandre White left early for the NFL. And then last season, we had some guys that decided to transfer. So the depth in that running back room was not what it needed to be. And we were going into spring practice this past spring with Juju McDowell was a scholarship running back returning, and Mario Anderson was a transfer running back from Newberry that we had just brought in on scholarship. And those were our only 2 scholarship tight ends that we had in the program. Or excuse me, scholarship running backs that we had in the program. So initially it was, we got to get some running backs to be able to just get through spring practice. And then when you look at DK, he's a big, thick receiver at the time. And you look at his body type, he looks like a running back in a lot of ways. But then for me, Andy, it was going back, and we've used him in a wildcat quarterback role over the last couple of seasons. You alluded to the bowl game where he was a quarterback. But if you go back and watch the Tennessee game, he scored a couple touchdowns in that game as a wildcat quarterback where he showed really natural running skills. There was a play where we just ran like a downhill run for a touchdown where he had to lower his shoulder and get north-south and scored. And then there was another play we ran like a little bit of a zone read type scheme, and he had to make somebody miss out in space and then get it in the end zone. So I knew he had the ability, so I brought him in my office before spring practice and just said, look, here's where we are at running back. We know you can play receiver. You know, you going through 15 practices in the spring, yeah, that's going to help you, but we know what you can do there. You're a smart guy. This is going to help our football team and help you. If you want to just, we didn't even talk about doing it 100% in the spring. It was really just, let's just take some days out of spring practice, out of our 15 practices. Let's take, I don't know, 5 or 6 where you work as a running back just so you get some experience. And then he got in there, and probably 1 or 2 days in, I think he felt at home. And he's never, not once since then, has he come to me and said, when am I going back to receiver? He embraced it, has done a great job. And it's really a natural, great position for him and for our football team this season, and then for his future as well.
What does it say about a guy like that? Because, you know, usually when the quarterback doesn't win the job, they're gone.
Yep.
But he has found ways to stay over and over again.
Yeah. To me, it says what a fantastic, just human being he is. How unselfish. I mean, he is, if not the leader of our team, he is one of the top leaders of our team. There's no doubt about it. And then the other thing I think it says is that he loves South Carolina. And honestly, you know, after the way he played in the bowl game 2 years ago against North Carolina when he was our quarterback, he had other schools that were, let's be honest, tampering with him, trying to get him to come play for their college as a quarterback. And, you know, he and I met about it and wanted to talk about him and what was best for his future. And at the end of the day, he's like, Coach, I love South Carolina. I grew up here. I don't want to play anywhere else. I've invested too much time in this program, and I want to finish what I started here at Carolina. And then, you know, went into last season thinking that it could be his last year. And then for him to decide to come back for another year has only made him better and made our team better. But what a example for not just our players, but players all across the country. And, you know, a guy that hung in there and dealt with some adversity. But to me, his best football is still in front of him.
So you brought up that Duke's Mayo Bowl against North Carolina. You will play North Carolina again in that stadium to open the season. College game day is going to be there. Drake May, Mac Brown, everybody. But the most important question, will it be easier to coach this game knowing there's no chance someone will dump Mayo on your head?
I'll probably be more focused and tunnel vision on the game, because in that bowl game, there was always the thought in the back of my mind, every time as it got closer to the end of the game, oh, shoot, if we're about to win this game and I got a Mayo bath coming my way. So the anxiety you felt throughout the game, that won't be there, but the intensity and the urgency, it'll be an awesome night in Charlotte. But no Mayo, thankfully.
I was going to say, thanks to DK Joyner, you actually took a decent lead early. So that Mayo was probably in the back of your mind for quite some time.
Yeah, it was early. They had Sam Howell in an explosive offense, and we had to play. We got off to a good start and had to play really well in the second half. But as the game went on, I mean, I can vividly remember being on the sidelines with about 4 minutes left in the game thinking, you know what, me agreeing to this Mayo bath seemed like a pretty good idea like a month ago when they asked me, but now it's like reality.
Yeah, it's like whatever for the cause. Wait, what? I have to do this now? So you and I have a person in our history where we learned quite a few things from. So I want to ask you this. You coached with Steve Spurrier when he was at South Carolina. That was your first time around. And I'm watching you guys recruit, and it feels very similar to that last time that you were there together, where you were getting all kinds of talent and really building that program into something special. What did you learn from working with Steve Spurrier?
A lot. That was like, there were reasons I wanted to take this job at South Carolina when I left Mississippi State from a personal standpoint, but just from a professional standpoint, the opportunity to come here and learn from a guy like Steve Spurrier, who won an ACC championship at Duke and won 7 SEC championships, I think, at Florida.
I believe it's 8 because he counts the 1991 when they were first, but not eligible to win it.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Sorry, Coach Spurrier, 8 as well. So it was a great experience for me as a young coach to learn to get that opportunity. A couple of things stand out. One, I really saw how a team will take on the personality of their coach, and the way the swagger, confidence, whatever you want to call it, that Coach Spurrier carried himself with. To me, a lot of our players and our team kind of took on that mentality in a lot of ways. And then the other thing is just, it was good for me as a young coach just to see that work-life balance that he had. That at the end of the day, you better have good players and coach them up, as he likes to say. But you better have good players. But get good players in here, coach them up, develop them. But you can also, you don't have to be up here from 5 a.m. until midnight sleeping in the office. And I haven't, but I saw him in the spring, during spring practice, play golf 3-4 times a week in the months of March and April during spring ball, where you've got that good balance. And to me, you and your assistant coaches, you need that because this profession is a grind. So those are probably the 2 biggest things: just the personality that he had, how it resonates with your players, that confidence. And then it was good for me to see that work-life balance that he had.
And one more before I let you go. You've exceeded expectations the first couple of years in this job. That they keep growing. How do you deal with that? How do you address that with your players?
Yeah, it's different because 2 years ago, it's funny. We this morning I had to record a bunch of radio ads and television commercials for sponsors and things like that. And the list of people that want to work with Gamecock football and be corporate sponsors has grown in the last 2 years. Yep. And it's a byproduct of winning. And so you kind of realize that there's more eyes on you, more people want to be associated with you. But because 2 years ago, there weren't expectations. There were people that said the ceiling for this team was 2 wins, and we won 7. And then last year we won 8. For me, Andy, I want to be at a place with high expectations, and we have high expectations for ourselves. 2, you don't listen to so much of that. We weren't listening to them 2 years ago when they didn't think we were very good, and we're not listening to them right now when there are expectations for us. And I know it's cliche, but it's true. We just worry about ourselves, try and be better tomorrow than we were today, and maximize the potential of the 2023 team, and get to the end of the season, and hopefully we've gotten better as the year went on, and we have maximized our potential. But we embrace the expectations. We want that. We want high expectations, but also realizing that we have a lot of work to do. Yes, we won 8 games last season and did a lot of things for the first time, but there's a lot that we need to improve for us to be able to take the next step also.
Great lesson. Never listen to those media guys. Love it. It's perfect. Thank you, Shane.
Unless they're like the experts like yourself.
Yeah, just me. Nobody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Shane.
You got it. Thank you.